I don't necessarily love my country. I don't necessarily hate my country. The United States of America has many, many problems that I find all of us understand, but too many people are blinded by the pride of their own country to recognize those problems and look at them without that attachment that you have in your heart to your nation's identity. Something, for example, that people say all the time is that the American dream is real, or that in America there are opportunities. For example, here in Japan, the yen is very weak. I believe it is about 68 cents on the dollar as of yesterday. And so when you think of the United States, the powerful dollar, or England, for example, the powerful pound, you get the impression that those places are rich and they're full of opportunity. And if you're born in those countries, of course, you can look at that stat and feel a sense of pride. Because, yes, in terms of the numbers, maybe it is better. But there are some nuances to take into consideration, such as the United States has many people living in poverty. And to be quite frank with all of you guys, I think for a period of my life, I was living in poverty myself. My mom wasn't really open about it with me, but while we were in poverty, we didn't really live off a lot. We weren't eating very high-quality meals like steaks, fish, or even chicken sometimes, but rather it was a diet primarily consisting of low-quality carbohydrates and processed food. And I think that Americans, for example, we have a problem with our diet, a problem with our government not caring any way whatsoever about its people, but instead are bought out by big corporations, rich people, etc. And I think we intuitively all kind of know that. When I look at the United States and think of the history of the country, maybe the history is beautiful. Maybe I can feel an appreciation for that history. Or as Jonny Mozza said it, I'm grateful to have been born here because there are benefits to living in the United States or England. But in light of all the huge problems that our country is currently experiencing, like the poverty I mentioned, like the corruption in the governments, like the mindlessness that you see everywhere, I can't feel a strong connection to the nation's identity. And so what I think is, if you want to like your country, if you want to show some kind of positive feeling towards your country, one, you should appreciate it, but two, it's almost like a personal relationship. So if you were in school like me back in the early 2000s, the teacher would have you stand in front of the American flag, put your hand on your chest, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, right? I had that memorized from when I was a kid. And the idea, it almost sounds like indoctrination. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's indoctrination. I think it comes from a good place. But this is taught. This isn't something that I personally developed. And this is where I'm going to get into my main idea here, is when it comes to any idea, as much as you can, try to develop ideas in your soul, in your heart, and don't let yourself parrot ideas from someone else whose ideas, by the way, you don't even really understand that well. Take let's say an uneducated libertarian. Now, you might be a very educated libertarian. I don't think that you're this kind of person because you're watching this video. But we've all kind of run into this guy, and he's like, I just want small government. I don't like the government. Small government. And they just say small government over in some reiteration of that. And it kind of sounds like the person's just watching Fox News or something and kind of parroting it over and over again. You're like, yeah, I get it. So what? Why do you have that idea? And what you'll realize is a lot of people, they start with the feeling and then they rationalize backwards. That's not how I like to reason, as much as I can, of course. But if somebody were to say, by contrast, the more educated person or the more self-aware person said something to the extent of, I don't like bureaucracy. I think bureaucracy bloats, and it may lead to the destruction of important aspects of society, such as, social welfare programs, etc., etc. And they go on and they have like a very unique take. I can respect that. Maybe I don't agree with, and not this particular take in particular, as redundant as that sounds, but I respect the effort, the attempt at truth that you see in a person who is an independent mind. And when it comes to your nation, to your country of origin, there are people who blindly say that they are proud to be American, proud to be English, and they wave that flag because they were told to do so. But then there are people who, if they're challenged and asked, why do you love your country? Why do you dislike your country? And they can provide you a decent argument, I can at least listen to them. How do I personally feel? It's like I just said a few minutes ago. I think you need to be grateful for your country. There are many problems in the United States, but I will say that my life was probably a lot better than had I been born in a poor family in Bangladesh. Of course, I don't mean any offense by that, but rather, in the United States, there are good things about it that maybe I should appreciate here and there, because other countries may lack that kind of infrastructure. However, when it gets to something like healthcare, it's really hard for me to be grateful to be an American, honestly, because as we all know, the United States healthcare system, well, it's hard to even say that we have a healthcare system. But all that to say is the idea of a country can appear attractive, but when you look at the fundamental elements that make up that country and the problems with it, and all of the things that you don't like, or that I don't like, I can't help but feel that it's futile to say, I love America. Maybe I like the history, but the government sucks, and at the end of the day, I am me, and the only thing that really ties me together with people from the States are those who grew up in a similar background, speak a similar dialect to me, and share those experiences. And I can't say that all Americans do share that experience. So you can't really boil people down to one sort of stereotype so very easily. Some say that you can. I beg to differ, because on the individual level, that's when the uniqueness of a person really comes out. That's what I would like to say today. Jonny Mozza, I hope you're watching this. Thank you for enjoying today's video, and I will see you next time. Scrutly Mutley.